on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped.
Do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshopped? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine. I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS, as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news.
All right, so things got tense last night during President Trump's first network interview since retaking office over this picture President Trump shared of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's tattoos. The photo is being challenged as edited. The characters MS-13 would appear to have been added on if you see the original image that was posted by El Salvador's president. The tattoos themselves are not there. So former FBI Special Agent Nicole Parker is here to shed some light on this. So I'm obviously being very careful with my words because the White House seems to be denying that those pictures were Photoshopped, but it would quite clearly look like they were added on after the picture was provided by the El Salvadoran president. So you tell me what we're supposed to make of this. Obviously a point of contention in that interview last night.
Well, first of all, I obviously have not seen the original photo, so I'm not in a position to make an official statement. But what I can tell you, based on what I'm seeing and what I've observed in that depiction of what you're seeing, obviously the first knuckle has marijuana, which is highly symbolic of drug use, drug affiliation, drug trafficking, which is what MS-13 is commonly involved in. Also, you see a knuckle that has a smiley face, and that is indicative also that is seen in different MS-13 gang tattoos that is almost mocking and making fun of death, of law enforcement. You also see a cross. And ironically, MS-13 gangs tend to sometimes mix violence with faith. They want a prayer of protection in the midst of protecting themselves as they are committing violent crimes and hurting others. And then, of course, you have the skull, which is symbolic of, death, intimidation, and fear. So regardless of, the semantics of it, those images and what I am seeing are, clear indicators of what you may see in an MS-13 gang tattoo. Obviously, there are different regions, there are different areas, there are different symbols that are used across different gangs. But this is something that in law enforcement, we do look at very closely. And Sandra, if you notice, it's a knuckle tattoo. That is a very clear indicator that they have no shame in being affiliated with this gang. That is a very strong outward demonstration of their commitment. Sometimes the tattoos are hidden by clothing, but this is a very clear statement that they have no problem and they are proud to be affiliated with this gang.
Okay, so there's obviously a lot of media reaction to this since it became such a point of contention in that interview last night. I guess The View took this one on the Photoshop question. Listen.
He doesn't even recognize his own fake images at this point. But, here's what I watched the whole thing.
Did you?
And I'm really starting to feel sorry for him. He's over his head. The simplest questions he cannot answer. And then he turns on Terry Moran when he asks, how dare you ask me a question I can't answer? I mean, the guy, the guy is over his head.
Okay, so I can tell you this. Fox News Digital did reach out to the White House and Abrego Garcia's attorney for comment on the photos and the reported MS-13, the MS-13 on the knuckles, but they didn't immediately get replies to that. Obviously, all indications are that if that is indeed an authenticated picture of the original knuckles, without that, it looks like the photo did change. But put this in the context of how the media is addressing this individual and what should or should not happen to him with this administration.
Well, when I watched that clip that you just played from The View, and she is saying that President Trump is in over his head, I could not more strongly disagree with that statement. As someone who has worked in the FBI, who has worked violent crime, who has worked among some of our most violent criminals, President Trump's top priority is to make America safe again. And that is what he is attempting to do. And we have millions of people that poured into our country illegally across the border, and what we are trying to do is restore safety. As someone who has worked and taken violent criminals off of the street, this is something that you would think that all Americans would agree with. And so I actually stand behind President Trump wholeheartedly that we need to remove those individuals that are not here legally, and they are going through the proper processes. I watched that interview. He is doing what his lawyers recommend. And that is, in my opinion, as a law enforcement officer, we need to make America safe again. This individual is not known to be a honorable individual. His own wife had filed, a restraining order against him several years ago.
Well, regardless of the difference in the pictures, certainly the confirmed tattoos there are what experts are looking at and saying that there are a lot of indications of relation to that violent gang. Nicole, thank you very much for joining us on that. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, John.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.